Hello and welcome back to Leadership and Neurodiversity. It's been a while since I've done my last video, but we're going to do a couple things today. One, we're not going to do the typical video where I'm reading from PowerPoint slides, but instead I'm going to talk for a bit about what happened, why the hiatus started so early. Then that's going to lead into a beginning of a discussion on what's going on with neurodiversity hiring, what's going on with hiring in general, the rise of artificial intelligence and the changes in the way things are done. I think there is some serious talking points for that as it relates to neurodiversity and I think leadership. And then finally, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on with the Leadership and Neurodiversity project, where I'm at, where it's going in 2024, 2025. I'm going to have some news about some changes coming up to the channel. I think you're going to like it. Anyway, let's begin. Basically, long story short, I lost my job in April. I was restructured. They eliminated my role. The firm decided to go and try to either outsource it or give the job to somebody else who's already had done it before. And for whatever reason, I lost my job, and I decided looking for a job was more important than continuing with the video series. I was heading towards a hiatus anyway, but I decided to go ahead and do it, and I think it was for the best. Anyway, I guess this would be the point where the fall season would start, the start of the academic year, I guess. And anyway, here I'm still taking classes. I'm wrapping up a course tonight. I'm starting my next course in October. And I'll talk further about that as the video progresses. Anyway, there's a few things I learned about job hunting in 2024 that I think is helpful for neurodivergent people. First of all, artificial intelligence is on the rise. It's taking over how you apply for jobs. It's taking over how you're selected for interviews. It's taking over how you get hired. Now, what's going on is so many people are using bots to apply for jobs that I think the system is now broken on all sides. I'll say that. I was applying for at least 250 jobs a week through AI. If you multiply that by the 10% of, I think it was 6.4 million people are unemployed at the same time I was, you go by 640,000, multiply that by 250, you get quite a few people, quite a few applications. Now, it turns out there was a survey that showed 46% of job seekers were using AI bots. So imagine millions of people using AI bots to apply to 200 or 250 jobs a week, and you can imagine what's going on the side of the recruiters. The recruiters are getting hit with hundreds of applications for the same jobs. And really, what's going to happen is they're only going to look at the 10 best, and maybe once they count to 10, they say we got 10 good ones. They don't care about the rest. You could be the best person in the world, and you're done. Now, on the hiring manager side, they have to look at who they're looking for, what they're looking for. They try to give a wish list in many cases. They give ideas as to what they're looking for, like somebody with 5 years experience in a program that's only been out for 3. That I've heard horror stories about that. There are things where the skill sets just don't match up. There's no way you can have somebody doing a job of that require 4 different skill sets that don't connect. Now, as far as the recruiters, as I said, the hiring managers are trying their best to hire. And now it's also turning into a series of interviews, 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds, and it's really crazy. And even for an entry level job, you're looking at 2 to 3 rounds at least, and sometimes 4 or 5. I think that's not good. I think that's really bad. I'm fortunate to have been hired. One interview, it was on a Friday. I was told they were going to decide on Tuesday and contact me on Wednesday. They hired me on Tuesday. I started the job. It was through AI, believe it or not. As a matter of fact, I remember looking at the application saying I had applied for this job, and I thought, that's an interesting one. But yeah, I went ahead and applied, and it worked out. I think I did well, and I obviously did well enough to get hired. Now, I'm lucky. There are a lot of people out there who have been out of work for months and years even, and they're still trying to get a job, and they're still plugging away. They're doing what they can. And imagine sending in a couple hundred applications a week for a year. Now, I don't know about you, but that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. It's possible you could send in 10,000 applications in a year through AI. Now, I do apologize. I have a little bit of stuffed nose right now, but and I apologize if I sniff. Now, I do think there is a good way to do this if you're going to use AI. I used a couple of services. I'll tell you one right off the bat. Job Hire is not a good one because they'll just throw your application to anybody. I was noticing I was getting applied. They were saying applications for Mercedes mechanic, and my personal favorite was a pop-up makeup artist, and I know nothing about makeup. If you take a look at me, yeah, I don't think so. They don't care. They didn't care about location. They would send job. They would send. They would send applications out for jobs that were across the country. Well, been several thousand miles away, all the way out in California, and that's not going to work. So they charge $49 a month. I don't recommend them. I also use weapply.net. I do recommend them if you know exactly what you're looking for. And I emphasize that because I think that's important. You have to know exactly what you're looking for before you apply for a job. I think especially in the neurodivergent world amongst our community, we are trying to find a job. That's the first goal, and that's great. But I think you have to specify what you're looking for, much the same way as a hiring manager specifies what he or she is looking for in a applicant. You have to be specific too. And I think if you have that in mind and you have a skill set that matches well, that you send out applications for this, then yes, I'll say weapply.net works well. It's They have three plans ranging from $149 to $249. $249 gets you 300 applications over 3 months. Works out to about 5 a day. Unlimited resume submissions. You can change up what you're looking for. I say, given the market right now, I would recommend the $249 plan, um, with the understanding that, yeah, I mean, you could always just apply on LinkedIn, and that's great too. But it does. What I will tell you is that it applies for jobs that's maybe a step up from what you're looking for, and maybe a little bit different from what you're looking for. But I think it's good if it helps show that, yeah, and they explain each job. If they'll tell you what jobs they've applied for, and they'll explain the rationale. And it's really good because it shows maybe you're underselling yourself a bit. And I think we all do that, neurodivergent, neurotypical, and neuronormative alike. We all do that. I think it's good that we have this option. It eliminates a lot of the work because, quite frankly, looking at um, LinkedIn job postings and seeing, let's say, 1,000, 2,000 applicants, and the job's only been posted for like 3 days, that's not encouraging, you know? I'm not saying it's going to get you a job any faster to go through AI, but it's becoming more of the norm. And I think in a broken system like this, it's the best bet for everybody. Um, I think also the easy apply on LinkedIn, I'm not thrilled with. I don't think I even got any interviews through that. I actually no. I actually did get a couple of interviews through that. I stand corrected, but really, the other thing I noticed that brings me to another point is that the interview numbers were way lower than they were in 2022 or 2021. I think that's because now everybody's getting knocked out by AI on the recruiter's end, through ATS systems, or um, applicant tracking systems, that stands for. I think I think that's knocking out a lot of people. And I've even read an example recently about a manager who put his resume through a system, and he would have been knocked out by the company's own ATS. It was an HR manager, so this shows that there are some problems there. I think we need to start looking at possibly fine tuning what we're looking for. But it's a combination of fine tuning and expanding what you're looking for. Fine tuning by defining the field that you're looking for, the job role, and then expanding it by saying, you know what, I have I have skills here, I have skills there. Let's see what we can do. Maybe AI will find the job that may not be what I thought would be a good match. Now, I have an interesting background because I have cybersecurity, I have data analytics, and data governance in my background, so I can go in any one of three directions. I'm lucky in that sense. I think we as people, as a community, can need to sit down and start thinking, okay, what can we do? What can we do with what we know? What can we do well, and then write it all out and maybe make it all work. Now, the issue that I one issue I will bring up is that I'm fortunate enough to be able to have an executive coach again, or it's a career coach, but she's acting as an executive coach as well, and we're going through ideas as we go on. I'm continuing to be on board at my current job, and then we're talking about stuff for the future, ideas that might help me with in this role. Um, but I think that really AI, if you know what you're looking for, I would recommend weapply.net. Um, can't recommend job hire. I would be very cautious about any of the others that services that are out there, because I've seen one that was like $1,000. They said 1,000 applications. I'm like, who are you sending them to? Sorry, I can't see that working. But with that in mind, I'll talk about. Let's end this here. I'm actually going to continue next month with a discussion on neurodiversity hiring initiatives in 2024. Where are they? And I'll explain what I'm seeing and what I think is going on and what could be happening in the future. I don't think it looks very good, but I think I'll just say this as an advance notice: DEI, or diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging hiring initiatives, or even DEIB as a whole, is on the wane. It's actually on the decline, and I don't think it matters who wins the 2024 presidential election. It's going to continue to be on the decline. Companies are not looking at that right now, and neurodiversity hiring initiatives are part of that. So I'm asking, I've put out the question on LinkedIn, does anybody know of any that have happened this year? But we'll continue that discussion next month. Anyway, let's talk about leadership and neurodiversity, where it's going. As I mentioned, I'm finishing up a class tonight. I start my next class on the 21st. I have two classes in the spring. I have one class in the summer, but it's in the second part of the summer, so I will have off. Then I'm going to be taking a leave of absence for the remainder of 2025 too. And that's because I want to write out my theories. I want to have everything in writing. I want to have everything looking like it's a professional paper, looking like it's an academic paper. I had mentioned on LinkedIn about possibly writing a book on the subject of the armor system, and starting with how to change hiring initiatives, or how to change hiring for neurodivergent people, and then continuing into armor itself, and including a little bit of history on neurodiversity hiring initiatives in the United States, and even give a little bit of my own background as to what was going on and how I ended up in the program that I'm in. I will tell you, I will not name names regarding my experiences. I will name companies, though, and that will be most of the second half of 2025. I think that's going to be a great project. It's also going to lead to the qualifying paper, because it's going to include a literature review of the history of neurodiversity hiring, and also leadership development opportunities for other communities and how it relates to what I'm going to be doing. I think also I will start forming the research project. Well, the research project can't be done until the qualifying paper is done. I hope to have the qualifying paper done in early 2026, and then I can start doing research. The first year will be the research project that will lead to the dissertation. Also, for the Leadership and Neurodiversity project, I am going to be changing equipment. As a matter of fact, I was about to record this on my old computer, and I realized that that's not going to work anymore. I need other equipment. I'm going to be using microphone in the future. I'm also changing the location of the recordings in 2025, so I don't have to do a hiatus. I think I've got a location set up that's going to be ready to set up in during the winter, early spring, um, and then I can continue recording in the summer of throughout the summer. So really, I don't have to do a seasonal break. That's one of the things that's bothered me. I don't really like that format. So that's coming in. I'll test it during the winter, early spring of 2025. I've got two possible locations. I'm going to try to record one video in each of them, and I'll decide what works best for me. So, with that in mind, Leadership and Neurodiversity is back. I'm happy to say that it's returning stronger than ever, and I'm in a good spot right now. I think the research is coming up, and I also, like I said, I have to start with the qualifying paper in 2026. The reason why I'm taking time off, by the way, why I'm taking a leave of absence in the second half of 2025 is because I've been in online classes since 2019, and on the graduate level. I got my master's data analytics in 2021. So this will be, by the time we get to the summer of 2025, I'll have been in online classes for 6 years, and I think it's time I take a little bit of a break so I can focus on other projects like this research project. I have other projects, but they're not really in the leadership and neurodiversity realm. I think I'm going to also try to meet more with people in 2025 and make things happen. Anyway, that pretty much ends the video for now. I will be back next month, and we will be continuing a discussion on hiring initiatives in the United States. And I ask you, if you watch this video, if you know of anything that's going on in terms of neurodiversity hiring in the United States, let me know. My contact information through LinkedIn. I will post all that in the header in the comment section of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next month.